Welcome to 21 Days of Holiday Healthy Coping. We are starting off strong with a skill that I love to teach my clients. This one is called Name It, Frame It, and Tame It. This is such an excellent tool to start with because it's going to help us do a couple things. It's going to help us start identifying the emotions. It's going to help us describe how we feel that emotion in our body, what that even looks like. As well, it's going to help us identify the proper self-care tool or the coping skill that you need to address the emotion that's actually coming up. As a society, we are so deeply disconnected from our bodies and our bodily sensations and how our emotions feel in our bodies. As well, many of us are disconnected from our body's cues. When it whispers to us, we do not listen. That's why we see disease so prevalent, because we're not listening when it whispers, so then our bodies have to scream. Now, where this skill really starts is with us identifying and describing the emotions that we are experiencing. So name it. Name the emotion. What am I feeling? How many times have you asked yourself in a day or even ever, what am I feeling right now? A lot of us can't even name more than a handful of feelings. So we go into thoughts. What am I thinking right now? So that's what I'm gonna have you start with. What am I thinking right now in this moment? So you have an event, and then you have an interpretation of that event. That interpretation is essentially your thoughts and beliefs about what is happening. From our interpretation, we then have emotions. Now, this process, when we get into CBT, this process happens in a matter of mere seconds. So we can have thoughts about a situation, interpret a situation in our own way based on our past beliefs, how we think about things, and then we have feelings about it. Now, that interpretation, just like feelings, is not fact. It is a judgment based on what's happening. Is it always valid? 100% yes, because that is what we are working off of. I'll give you an example. So the event is your boyfriend or partner missed your call. Your interpretation could be, oh, gee, they're busy at work. They must be in a meeting right now. Or your interpretation could be, I know they are cheating on me. What might your feeling be if you believe that they're still at work, they're in a meeting? Versus, what is that feeling if you have the interpretation or the thought, they are cheating on me? Because it leads to a way better example for this whole coping skill, we're gonna go with the interpretation of my partner is cheating on me. I might feel sad. I'm probably gonna feel really angry though. Now I'm gonna ask you, how does anger feel in your body? Some of the typical responses might be, my head gets hot, palms or feet get sweaty. You may wanna cry and feel a lump in your throat. You may find yourself shaking with anger, or you might find your eyes narrowing. Connect with the emotion anger for a second, especially if it's new for you to be mindfully in your body and feeling a feeling. It starts with naming it, right? Name the emotions, name the bodily sensations, name the feeling that you're feeling right now. Identify it. I'm aware that I'm having the thought that my partner might be cheating on me. I'm aware that my shoulders are tense, my palms are sweaty, and I'm about to go off. I'm aware that I'm having the emotion of anger, albeit a little disgust, tension, and frustration too. I'm aware that I'm also feeling a little sadness with this thought that I'm having. You have now successfully identified and described the emotions, how they feel to you, and what is happening physiologically in your body. This awareness alone, being able to name your emotions, is going to be so helpful moving forward in all of the coping skills that we're going to be talking. And I hate to say all, but like at least most, because naming and identifying your emotions is such a huge tool in being able to shift out of harmful or negative emotions, discomfort, all of that. Now, we're gonna move on to frame it, because the function of emotions is to identify something to us, is to tell us something about ourselves, our environment. Anger, for example, can tell us when our boundaries have been crossed or when we just are not happy with the current stance of things. Usually when we have very visceral emotions, it indicates a need for something. So that might be a physical need, a spiritual need, an emotional need, or a relational need. Let's switch gears real quick. Say there's a different interpretation entirely, a different scenario entirely, and the feeling that we feel from our interpretation is helplessness. If we're feeling helpless, the need that might need to be met might be a need for power, to feel like we're not so helpless, like we have internal strength, internal personal power at our disposal. Taming whatever urge comes from the feeling of helplessness is going to be very different than taming the feeling that comes from anger. And if you do something that is going to tame helplessness when you're actually angry, it might not work out how you picture. If I'm helpless or feeling helpless in a situation, I might decide to look up information. I might decide to take a course or a class, figure out how to make myself more useful or more educated within the context of whatever it is we're talking about. Now, if I'm angry and I go educate myself, I'm probably not going to even be able to sit and focus because I'm seething. This is why this middle step of framing the situation in the context is very important, because we ask ourselves two questions, at least two questions in the framing section. One important question is, what can help me relieve the discomfort of what I am feeling right now? And two, how can I release the feeling that I'm having right now, the emotion that's coming up for me? Furthermore, what is a tool or a skill or something I can do that can satisfy the need that I'm feeling based on my emotions? Framing the emotion is really where we identify what is the function of this emotion. What is this emotion trying to get us to do for ourselves? Is it a need for power? Is it a need for safety? Is it a need to have relief from something? Or is it something entirely different? So let's go back to the example of anger. So from anger, what might I need in that moment? Well, one, a lot of times anger is such a visceral response in the body that we might just need to calm down. We might need to get the anger out before we can actually think logically, because we are probably in fight or flight at that point in time. So with anger, we might realize that we need relief from pain, because what has caused the anger is we're pained by the fact that we have this thought that our significant other might be cheating on us. Now, say I have anger problems. Instead of going and driving and finding my partner and yelling at him or whatever because I believe he might have cheated, I can choose to do something different. I can choose to do a more helpful activity for me in the moment to relieve some of the pain I'm feeling. This tool was initially to address if we have harmful urges or behaviors that tend to happen when we feel X, Y, and Z. And so instead of going towards those behaviors or utilizing those harmful behaviors, harmful to self, harmful to others, whatever, we are going to choose something different. This tool is to help you rewire your brain so that you stop acting on the initial urge, the urge that's been wired for however many years, and start choosing something different. Start choosing something more helpful, something that is not going to harm yourself or others. So if we're angry, doing something like going for a run, going to the gym real quick, doing some calisthenics, just working our body hard in the moment, even if it's running in place or doing some jumping jacks, it can help us get that excess energy out, okay? Remember the questions I said. What is something that can help me relieve the sensations in my body that I'm feeling because of the emotion? And what is something I can do to help me relieve whatever is the need I'm trying to fulfill? Your body is telling you with your emotions that there is a void. There is something that is a need for you. How can I fulfill that need? Maybe when you're angry, your behavior is to usually say things that are very harmful and hurtful, not only to another person, but also to the relationship itself. So to keep from acting on that emotion, maybe the thing to tame this is to write a letter, unedited, unscripted, just write a letter of all of your emotions, just vomit all over the paper. After you get the pure visceral emotions out, you can then go back and say, okay, what is helpful to address this situation in a way that does not harm the relationship and gets to the point of what I want to know. Did you cheat? What's going on here? What is the truth? Say the relief of pain that you need and the anger that you're feeling is actually turned inwards. It's turned towards you of what have I not done right? What am I doing wrong? Then your need sounds a little bit different. Then it sounds like you need maybe a little bit of an emotional boost in who you are and remembering your own personal power and your own dopeness. In that case, the solution or the taming it might just be listening to a motivational podcast and how to never forget your worth. The step between frame it and tame it is actually seeing it, visualizing yourself doing the new action, the new thing that can help in a healthy manner. Because our imaginations are so strong of a tool, if we visualize something, we can actually put our nervous system, our bodies in that place. It's just the same way if you're watching a horror movie and you get scared. Your body does not know the difference between an axe murderer actually in front of you or on the movie screen. So visualizing how you would enact this healthy coping skill or this new tool that could actually address the issue, the need that's coming up for you is going to be beneficial, and it's going to start helping you to rewire those thought patterns, those neural pathways, so that you can do something different next time the situation arises. So this last step is taming it, and this is to do the action that could fulfill the need that is coming up based on the emotion you're experiencing. Do the new thing, choose the healthy, helpful coping skill, and not the old behavior that is not gonna end well. A great way to really enact and use this skill is to identify past times where you've had something happen, an event, your interpretation and subsequent emotions has come up, and then you've done something you're not really proud of. You find that this is a habit in your life, the way that you respond to something. To write this out or verbalize it is something that really allows those neural pathways to make new neural pathways to connect in a different way to form new trenches within your brain. This tip really helps a lot when you're trying to specifically stop or limit a behavior that is not helpful for you. Let's use the behavior of vaping to plug into this formula. So naming it, man, I really want to vape. I'm feeling bored, anxious, understimulated, restless. Maybe I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed. I feel just anxiousness in my chest and then through my shoulders. I just don't like this feeling. I feel really restless. Maybe what I need if I'm feeling anxious, overwhelmed, restless is some type of feeling of safety, whether that be escape, pleasure, comfort, or even familiarity. Maybe this behavior of vaping is actually fulfilling my need of relief from anxiety. I inhale and then I feel that deep breath out. But what could give me the same relief from anxiety? If I'm looking for safety, what could give me comfort or maybe a little bit of escape? Maybe diving into a really good book, because then I don't have to think about my own worries. I can just be in another fantasy realm. If I'm feeling the need for comfort, maybe what I need to do is call my really compassionate friend who always knows what to say, and they can kind of pep me up and get me out of this headspace. I visualize myself calling my friend, and then maybe I actually do it because I realize, yeah, that sounds like that'll help. While this module was created to quit or redirect a negative behavior, I really feel like the tools that are outlined in these steps are very helpful regardless for any situation you might find, and helps us really connect back to ourselves, our own emotions, our own feelings about different things that are said or different events that happen. It helps us to identify what kind of interpretations am I coming up with in my life? How do I feel about those interpretations? And how do I do something different if what I've been doing has not been working for me? So that's today's significantly long healthy coping tool, but I think it's very significant in the ways it can help you to navigate your own emotions, identify your own emotions, and also regulate your emotions, identifying what works for what scenario or situation you're in, what works for any specific feeling you might be having. I'm gonna do my best to make the other ones way shorter, I promise, and I hope that you stick around for the rest of the 21 days of holiday healthy coping skills, and I will see you next time.